Greetings, geeks. Welcome to episode 841 of Geeks in Space. I'm Rob Commander Taco Maldo, and joining me today in Pretend Low Orbit, we have Chris DeBona.
Hello.
Rob Roseboom.
Hello.
Gentlemen, do we both have our tickets for Furiosa reserved and ready to go?
Oh, I do want to see that, but no, I'm not going to see it this weekend. But that looks really, it looks like a Mad Max movie, so I will enjoy it. Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
George Miller is a damn artist.
He is good for that guy, man.
Yeah.
I actually don't really have a lot of hope for it because I think I think the first one was so good.
It was so good.
I don't think this is gonna compete, but I do want to get there. I'm trying to convince a kid to go with me. That's impossible.
So can I get an ethics and morals checks from you boys?
It's a sin.
Yeah, everyone knows how morally
Well,
correct I am, so sure.
It's not like high questions of morals and ethics, but okay. So I bought I actually bought 10 96 gigabit memory kits. Okay.
Yeah.
Of these things, all but one was 5,600 mega transfers per second.
Okay. And what's the other one?
5,200.
Uh-oh.
Anyway, so I installed two 96 gigabyte kits in my machine here.
Yeah.
And you might remember a couple of weeks ago or months ago, I was like, I can't believe it. I have a bad memory stick, which was true. It was one of the 5,200s. So I pull them from the machine. I send them back to Corsair. And I'm like, hey, bad stick. I put a sticker on it and everything. I print out my label printer. Anyway, time passes. They say, hey, we actually need the full kit. And I was like, but I sent you two sticks. Here's a picture.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. You sent us a 5,200 and a 5,600. We need the other 5,200. I'm like,
that's the problem.
I'm like, okay, that's cool. But what about the 5,600 stick? I mean, these are like $150 a pop,
yeah,
right?
That's
They're
real
not
money.
cheap. And I'm like, so if I send you the 5,200, the mate from the kits, are you going to send them both back to me? And this is me condensing into like 30 seconds, like
hundreds of tech support
month
messages.
and a half of back and forth with support. And I'm just like, it's just, anyway. So my question is, so they're going to replace the kits in theory, and I'm sure they'll make good and send both kits back. Sure. But did I break my memory by mixing mega transfer speeds? It's not like I didn't mix them in the.
It should have just been
banks.
It should have just been unstable.
So it was mildly unstable. It was. So I was running it at like 4,000 or 4,800 max mega transfers per second, and that seemed to be stable enough for government work, right? But yeah.
I didn't think that you could burn out RAM by overclocking it.
Well, it's not overclocking it; it's mismatching it, right? But I had the 5,200s in one bank,
right,
and the 5,600s in another bank.
And you were running them all at 5,600.
No, I was running them all at 4,000 or 4,200 because
then it shouldn't have mattered at all.
It shouldn't have mattered, right? So anyway, it's not really an ethical or moral question. It's kind of like a technical question mixed with an RMA question, but also. They better return both kits back.
Yeah, you better get all your RAM.
Because now I'm, so this is like what $600 worth of RAM, or more, honestly.
Right,
so,
and right now you're streaming off a computer that does not have 400 gigs of memory.
192.
Oh, I thought you said kits, so I was assuming two sticks.
No. Each stick is 48 gigabytes.
Gotcha.
So it's a 96 gigabyte kit, and also I replaced this with two known identical.
Sticks. Trustworthy sticks
from Crucial. So
not a sponsor, not a channel sponsor, but definitely should be.
It's kind of a pain in the ass to get to my computer and memory.
Yeah,
it's inside a rack and it's on the topmost one, so I actually have to take the top of the rack off to get it. It's like a half rack that fits under my desk. So yeah,
I'm sorry about your RAM situation.
Well, you shouldn't be sorry. It's just.
Well, I mean, as I only have 64 gigs of RAM, I know. How
are you even functioning, Rob?
At very low frame rates, Chris.
I mean, how many monitors are you supporting? Like, you have like one 1280 by 720 monitor? Is
Oh
that
no,
all you're driving?
I'm doing all of this to a 640 by 480 VGA
Oh,
in 256 colors. That's
is it
why,
amber?
yeah, that's why
You have
the
color now.
aspect
That's great.
ratio. I have a 4:3 aspect ratio. That's why the screen, my head is shaped this way.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of like Rob at the club. You know, I got many
Yeah.
screens. You know.
All right,
right.
so the oldest story on the list is the efficacy of Shadowbans, which
Yeah.
rang true to all of our hearts,
Yeah.
as this is right in the middle of what we were sort of doing from 98 to 2005 or so. Is dealing with all
it's
this.
neat watching everyone repeat the sins of Slashdot.
Right.
Only 20 years later, and by learning nothing.
Yeah, pretty much. So big shock. Shadowbans do stuff.
Yeah.
Shocked.
Mostly they send email to Rob, right? And
Right.
complain.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, a lot of people don't know that they're shadow banned, which is what you want. It turns out that the people who are the angriest kind of fall into the category of too stupid to figure it out, but also too angry to let it go.
Yeah.
And the too angry to let it go is the more dangerous camp. And that's the scary thing about the shadow ban, is that if you ban somebody who is too angry to let it go, you have now created an enemy for life. And that's the risk with this. But I mean, my position on shadow bans is we didn't really use shadow bans. I think in the way that the nomenclature describes it today. For the most part, we just put people to score -1 on the forums,
Right.
which is effectively a shadow ban, because at that point you're only visible to,
Yeah, you have to specifically say that you would want to look at those stuff.
people have to opt in. But that was just kind of culturally part of what we did, because we also had what I think would be classified as a shadow ban now, but we only really used that against denial of service bots.
Right.
Like we would script and like block off whole class Cs.
Yeah, I remember doing that at SourceForge. We banned all of Korea and China because we were getting so much spam.
Yeah, it was just, but that's like you just get like that. We didn't really do that in response to like the nature of what you said. We did that because you were using a script to post 100 times a minute, which I think is a little bit of a different thing. But yeah, the main thing with this with the moderation is, I think, the thing that unfortunately poor Rob learned for us, which is the thing that matters the most, is to just be fast. If you ban the asshole in the first couple of minutes, then he doesn't get other assholes to pile on.
Yeah.
Because nothing draws out assholes like more assholes.
Right.
It's
the smell.
Yeah. Right. They form
the
asshole
smell.
Voltron.
Right.
So as long as you moderate them down really quickly, they don't get their friends, which of course is the opposite lesson that like Jitter and Facebook seem to have, which is if we amplify them, if we amplify the assholes, we get more traffic.
Yeah. It's
Well, they're solving for two different problems,
right?
We wanted better discussions, and they want numbers.
They want money. Yeah, that was our problem. We probably should have wanted more money.
I mean, at some point, maybe.
Yeah, it would have been. It would have. I mean, maybe would have still been working there.
Is that what you want, though? Is that what you really, really want?
So, Time Bandits is going to be on Apple TV. They're making a TV series. See how I segued?
That was a great segue.
Yeah, like that?
And by great, I mean terrible. No. Who posted this? Was this Rob or Rob?
No,
I posted this.
Yeah, you posted this because you liked Time. I rewatched Time Bandits about like a year and a half.
No, we
ago.
watched it for the.
Couldn't. Oh right.
Yeah, we rewatched it.
Couldn't stand.
Yeah, and it didn't.
Terrible.
It doesn't quite hold up.
Awful.
No, it was awful. It was terrible.
You know how Goonies could be annoying, but it was great. The Time Bandits was just annoying.
Yeah, it's got funny bits, but the parts don't add up.
Yeah.
But it's gonna have a TV show because everything from the '80s is destined to be rebooted.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
I mean, when are we going to get a new facts of life? That's what I want to know.
I took the good and the bad.
Yeah.
and then what did you have?
I learned the facts of life, Chris.
Okay.
All right.
Mrs. Garrett was kind of judgmental, in retrospect. I was thinking about this one scene where basically I think Joe or Blair dressed up really trashily or whatever. And Mrs. Garrett's like, hey, whoa, what are you wearing? You're gonna wear that? And then she's like, yeah. And she's like, well, basically she said, if everyone thinks you're a hoo-ah, you shouldn't be surprised.
Did they say the word on TV?
No, they didn't say the word on TV. They said,
frolp.
It was more like, well, you shouldn't be expected if you are, sexually assaulted.
Oh dear.
Wearing stuff like that. And I'm like,
wow.
I'm like, dude, holy crap. I was like 13 when I first saw this, and it stuck with me, man. Yeah, I bet you I can find the damn scene. I'm gonna find the scene.
Blame the victim, man. That's harsh.
Yeah.
There was I didn't post on the list because it was awful, but there was some I think it was a flight attendant that got busted for taping cell phones inside of the toilets. And the defense tried to make the case that the 9-year-old kid should have known better.
Mm-hmm.
The 9-year-old kid should have known better. That's your defense? You're on the wrong team.
Wow.
Yeah. So the next one on the list is call the compiler, send the fax, which is actually kind of fantastic. It does exactly what you think it would do. You can send it print out C, and it's totally like a batch computer from the 70s, man. You fax it, and then it prints it back. Just skip forward a little bit, and it'll show you what it spits back, because it's totally like just like an old-fashioned batch computer.
A hamburger phone.
Yeah, and he uses a hamburger phone to call it.
Nice.
Which is pretty classic. Go forward to like the very tail end.
Okay.
There you go. It gives you the report, tells you what happened, gives you the summary.
Oh, that's fantastic.
How long it took to compile the output. It's totally.
This person's a hero.
Right?
They're not a zero.
Nope, just like that.
Wow.
You know who also is a hero?
What?
The Googe. Do you know why the Googe is a hero?
Oh my god, I know what you're gonna say. So I gotta find this. So there's another AI called Inflection.
Okay.
It's like Chat GPT, but they're a little earlier from an interface standpoint, but they're actually really, really good.
Okay.
And so yeah, so tell the story you're gonna tell.
All right, and then you're gonna follow up with it. You're gonna Google apparently has been harvesting Reddit comments for its wisdoms.
Yeah.
So now instead of using logic and reason and like carefully tuned results, we just listen to dumbasses from 11-year-old Reddit posts. And so this is a Google told a user to add a 1/4 cup of non-toxic glue to their pizza, which then if you
as you do,
which you find
it's non-toxic.
Yeah,
so
it's fine.
Yeah, I don't know what your problem is, dude. It's not toxic.
No, they're not poisoning people. They're just telling you to eat.
It's not like they told them to eat rocks or lime. So one of the other ones was, how should I eat rocks? And Google's like, oh, it's a great source of minerals and da 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 da. And then someone else asked them, what's the best way to lie down in traffic? And they're like, oh, you want to make sure that you're perpendicular, that kind of thing. And it's like, yeah. So yeah, Google has been my former employer.
Yep. You don't have to speak bad about them, but I will.
What a bunch of idiots. Yeah, no. So here's Inflection's AI's response, because we were having fun with this in another channel. How many rocks should I eat a day? Haha, hold on there. It's like, oh, this one cares about me.
Yeah.
What's the best way to lie down in traffic? Are you okay? It's like, wow, it cares. That's really nice.
I like when
I said
AI
thanks. And please, but he's like, but I'm still concerned for you. And I'm like, oh, I was just seeing what you would say. Other competing LLMs at Google were giving terrible advice. Haha, you got me there. See, but he's like, but still, it's like, wow, man, I'm touched. Thank you.
So I guess what ultimately this shows us is that this technology is bullshit, and maybe it'll get there. Maybe it'll
Man,
get there, but it's not there.
Maybe it's bullshit at Google. I got to tell you, I'm having so much fun programming with ChatGPT and Copilot and all these AIs. It's so much fun, dude.
I'm not telling you that it doesn't have uses. I'm telling you that it is being deployed untested, and we're seeing obvious examples today, but we're not going to notice the subtle errors tomorrow. So there's examples of it saying things that are just straight up horrible. And this is one that's silly and fun, so it gets viral traction. But it's getting things wrong, like about like governments and like legitimate questions that it's getting wrong, and people don't understand.
I don't. So yes, there are idiots out there, right? But they can use a wrench incorrectly. It's like, this is a tool. It's a great tool.
For 20 years.
Yeah, you wanna.
For 20 years, if I went to Google and typed in something, I was 99.999% sure that one of those blue 10 links that it would give me would give me the right answer. And now
it's just SEO spam and garbage.
now I'm being told, not even from one of those blue links, I'm being told factually incorrect information in a text where I don't even have to click through. So I've taken away, so the system takes away my expectation of doing some damn work for myself, and then lies to me.
Yeah.
And nobody will ever face any consequences for that. And people will ultimately, at the very least, do dumb shit on their homework assignments. That's like the best case scenario for this.
Well, Franny, my kid, she TAs for classes, and I was like, do you see a lot of, auto-generated responses? She's like, oh my God.
All of
it's so obvious, Dad. It's so obvious.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Anyway, this is something that's gonna hurt people. That's what makes me sad. This is gonna hurt people.
Yeah. I mean, sure.
Yeah.
But
also,
should we stop doing it?
If you're
this can be so good for society.
If you're stupid enough to add glue to your pizza sauce because the computer told you, maybe we don't need you.
Sure. No, and I agree with that. The problem is that this is the obvious example that gets picked up in the media because it's funny. For every obvious funny example that is worthy of viral attention, there are probably an infinite number of errors that are not funny and nobody will notice, so therefore we will get them wrong.
Maybe.
I'm gonna go eat rocks until I'm full. I'm kind of hungry. Voyager's sending science data. They've announced that 2 of the instruments are working again.
Are they in the heliopause now, or?
Yep, they're in the robosphere.
Oh well, I want to point out, Magnum PI mentioned it's rocks are non-toxic. Well, most of them.
That's true.
And he doesn't realize it, but one of the other questions that people asked is, what's the best way to prepare yellow cake? The uranium ore. Mm-hmm. So
delicious.
And basically Google came back with a recipe for like a cake that's yellow, but it actually had uranium in it. And then you should mix in the pitch blend and and it's like, whoa, stop. It's like,
quit while you're ahead.
Quit while you're ahead. It's like, I can understand if you just made a mistake. Oh, you wanted a yellow cake. I see. But no, it actually said, no. And then you'll take the uranium and mix it in with the flour and yeast or whatever. It's like, oh my God, stop.
Cool. I feel safe. Hey, which one of you guys posted the story about bee beer?
Me.
Oh, me. It's pretty straightforward. They take yeast out of killer bees' guts and they use it to ferment the beer. Not for any sort of purpose other than, hey, look what we can do.
Yeah.
It's like,
I disagree.
When people make cheese out of their own bacteria and stuff like that,
Yeah. Natural rennet. No, that's not what happened here. What happened is this guy went into a Jamba Juice. Stick with me. And he's like, and they're like, hey, would you like any add-ons for immunity, for energy? And he's like, well, what kind of add-ons do you have? And they're like, well, we have brewer's yeast and we have bee pollen. And he's like, oh, maybe I should make a yeast from the bee pollen. So this is really Jamba Juice.
So this is like a Jamba. Reese's peanut butter cup thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
See, I was thinking it was more like about those monkeys that poop out coffee beans.
First of all, it's cats.
They're not monkeys. Yeah, they're civets.
Civets, yeah. And it is as gross as it sounds. I haven't tried it myself because I don't like eating poop, you know.
I've had it.
And
but
how is it?
It's really better when you get it straight from the tap, you know.
running through the wilderness trying to catch the little animals and bring them out.
The civet with a coffee cup.
Pee in this. Gross. Scandal at science fair. Well, this was a kid that cheated.
Wow. Yeah. So I'll say to our listeners and folks in the channel, you gotta read this thing. It's incredible. Basically, so originally the GE Science Fair became the Intel Science Fair, became the International Science Fair, whatever, and now it's the Regeneron International Science and Engineering Fair. Okay.
Yep.
So that's the timeline, right? And the problem with this science fair going back since the beginning really is it would often favor kids from richer districts. Okay. Sure. And kids, frankly, whose parents are doing more of the work than maybe they should. Okay. This is a problem in all things like FIRST and
America,
and all the science fairs and the spelling bees even. Well, not spelling bees, but it's like, it's very, because the role of mentorship is so important, but you can't let the mentors do the work, do the research. You know, they have to be there to help because, I mean, they're kids, they need help.
Yep.
These things do not succeed without the mentoring community, right? And without the parents being supportive.
Right.
And so that means that A, there's going to be a class difference here, and B, some parents are going to go too far, right? And so you have this kid who's 17, who over the course of 2 years ended up winning first place in environmental engineering. And it turns out that his work is either completely copied whole hog from other, you know, graduate students and the rest, or fake, you know, and
the evidence is conclusive. Like there's photos from it. There's photos in there where he clearly just flipped images from other papers.
Yeah. Here, let me find the picture of here it is. So here's the original one from the European University Ulysses lab, and then he literally just flipped it.
Yep. And like on one level, whatever, they're kids being kids, but on the other level, this is real money, scholarship money.
That's 55. I mean, this is felony level fraud.
Yeah.
You know, so, and like he took credit for this Raspberry Pi infrared spectrometer, you know, but it was taken from this dude.
I can't imagine. I don't know. I guess I have a different moral compass. I have a hard time. Like I couldn't do that. like I would just, I can't do that. Like, how could I do that to my kid?
You know how I originally, so my entire career has been about the fringes of copyright, right?
Yep.
You know, open source and all this stuff. And when I was, I don't know, 13 or 14, I was programming an IBM PC, and a friend of mine.
You were faxing your compiler in, and it would print it out back to you.
And a friend of mine, he basically he grabbed like an early, you know, like a gorillas.bas type program and all the rest.
Yeah.
And he copied it. He replaced the author and copyright lines with his name, and he made other small changes, and he said, "Hey, look what I programmed." And I was like, wow, this is really cool. And then, you know, I don't know, months later, weeks later, I found the same code, but it had been written by somebody else.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, he was full of shit.
Yeah.
You know? And I'm like, and it was like the first time in my life. I was very young. I must have been like 13 or 12. But it was the first time I was like, I don't understand why this person, A, felt that it was necessary to impress their friends with copied work, you know, someone else's work, and take credit for it. It was so weird. It was so disappointing and so just strange. And so it's not unusual for a kid to do weird stuff like this, right? Because they have some need to fill their ego with whatever. But it's like, you know, either this kid did the research to get the things to copy to do in the science fair, or frankly, his parents were off the damn rails.
That's,
And
yeah.
I think it's a combo.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Dude, it's 55 grand. I mean, when you got that kind of money on the table.
No, it's not about, this isn't about the 55 grand.
I think it might have been.
This is their parents trying to juice them for college.
And 55 grand.
Sure. But you know, I hate to say it this way. A lot of the schools that parents of this kid like to send their kids to, 55 grand covers 2/3 of the first year. You know, this is about choosing his application for college, right?
It sucks.
And it just sucks. It sucks so much because, like, maybe this kid's not bad, but honestly, he's a write-off now.
Well, okay, so the worst problem about this is that after he's done with this, he's going to go work for Tesla, and he's going to write the train detection code. He's going to write the AI that detects oncoming trains. So,
well, it's funny, you know, because we started this broadcast with you railing against these new AI tools.
Yep.
A kid like this, if he didn't have these AI tools, you know, it's over, you know.
And that's the thing from my end. Like, when I was writing a lot of code, I was cutting and pasting from everywhere.
Sure, of course.
But
you know?
That's what you do.
Open source, baby.
Yeah, you cut and like I was writing things that were, I don't know, 50% my code, 80% my code, 30% my code, but that's what you do. You copy functions, you tie it into your system. But that's a little different than this. Yeah, this just makes me sad. And I don't know. I think that the money plays more of a factor. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
For anyone, especially if you're 17. So the next one, the next story is about a self-driving Tesla that nearly hit a train. So
that kid's parents work at Tesla. No, I'm kidding. Right?
Yeah.
Did you watch the video?
I did. That's why I was waiting for Chris to get the video up. It's amazing.
There's a video.
Yeah.
Dude. Oh, I get to watch it on X. Oh.
Yep. On Jitter.
Oh man.
We don't see it right now.
I know it took me that long to get to Twitter, get the thing on screen, dismiss crap. Here we go.
I'm gonna try to time the screenshot.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is.
No,
no. Turn.
Stop. Did he take over at that point? Is that the story?
He did.
Yeah.
Good Lord. I mean, first of all, it's really foggy. The full self-driving said, whoa, time out. You got to control this thing yourself. Yeah. Oh, man.
Yeah. That's a scary video, man.
Oh.
Well, just thank God he's just going that slow.
Yeah.
He'd be going another 10, even 20 miles an hour.
Yeah.
By the time he took over, it'd be too late.
Crap.
Goodbye, window.
I keep, doing that.
That's all right.
Yeah.
Well, the next video that we have is the drone footage.
This thing's incredible, man.
This is awesome.
Yeah.
It's so damn pretty. I don't know what like f-stop or whatever they were using, but man, this thing's gorgeous. I mean, horrifying, scary, whatever. But wow. I mean,
it's super cool. Super cool. Now, is Helen Hunt there, or is she on the ground with the controller?
Yeah, I don't know.
Do you think this is actually viral marketing for the Twisters sequel?
Oh, yeah, almost certainly.
For the reboot.
Right? The reboot.
No, it's called Twisters. It's coming out this summer.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, that's real.
But how many cows are they going to throw? Like twice as many cows?
2 cows.
2 cows. Oh, 2 cows. It's brought to you by the Canadian Domain Registry.
It's part of the marketing. It's twice the number of cows as before.
Yep.
Yeah.
You thought 1 cow was a lot. Well, wait till you see.
Now the cow gets its own credit in the cast list.
Moo.
Bossy.
That's right. So a few weeks ago, they were going to put up a manned Starliner capsule into orbit. There was some sort of valve controversy.
Much.
Now they're not, and now they're delayed indefinitely.
Yeah, so it's in the helium. You know how they push the so in the reaction control thrusters, which this thing has 36 of them, which seems a lot to me.
Seems like a lot, but I mean, there's a lot of axes in space, right?
23 of them or whatever. It seems like a lot. Anyway, so they have 23 of these RCSs, and they're think it's hydrazine and nitrogen tetroxide or whatever. And combine them together and poof, but to replace the pressure of the propellants, they use helium, right?
As you do.
And so, but the helium tanks were, I guess, leaking. And so they were worried that they wouldn't have the pressure to push the propellants out the RCS thrusters. And they're like, maybe we can fix this on the pad. They couldn't fix it on the pad. And yeah, so there you go. Now, my question for you guys are, why are they using helium? It's a notoriously difficult gas to contain.
Well, they were trying to ferment bees and use the fermentation yeast,
CO2,
but that didn't work because they had this really smart 17-year-old designing the whole system and didn't work.
I think we should wait for Scott Manley to tell us why they were using helium.
I don't know how to fly safe
as opposed to argon or nitrogen. I guess they don't want to use nitrogen because it'll mix with the tank hydrazine, right? So maybe there's something in argon, there's something in the other inert gases that are easier to handle.
Well, helium
they didn't want to use.
Helium is pretty safe.
It's very safe.
And adds a delicious finish to the coffee beans they roast at the platform.
Let's go civet hunting.
Yeah.
It's a little hard on the cats though to be under the rocket.
Yeah. Well, also you got to wring them out.
We're all going to hell. Yes.
If I believed in it, I'd be going there. So the last one that I have on the list is the Space Quest 2 Master Disc Blender, and this is awesome. Mm-hmm. And I apologize, Rob, because you're not going to care about this in the slightest, but I'm going to tell you about this anyway. It turns out that the Space Quest 2 floppies from 1987, one of the discs was not properly formatted. Rather than they used it for something and then they copied the files on top of it, which means there are unused sectors on the disk which contain whatever used to be on the floppy. And it turns out what used to be on the floppy was 70% of the original uncompiled source code to the interpreter engine that Sierra used in the late 80s. Now this is the AGI engine that was used for King's Quest 1, 2, 3 and Space Quest 1, 2. Leisure Suit Larry 1. 1 year later, they dumped that engine and went to the AGI engine. But what this meant is that nobody knew for decades that 70% of the source code, and not the game code, the engine code, was on this floppy disk. And so somebody's they pulled it all out and they were going through it, and this what a weird find.
That's really neat.
I had that game.
Yeah, no, everyone did. Except for Rob, I guess. Zen, you didn't like the Space Quest games?
Sure, they're fine.
Wow. Yeah, but they got there's the initials of the engineers in there, and they the change logs, and they've got segments of code. It's neat. What a cool little piece of history.
That is cool.
So the only piece of media that I wanted to mention, I mentioned it in the channel yesterday, but Rob, Iron Claw, the story of the wrestling family.
On the Eric family.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask you what are the big things about this? I'm curious when you watch the movie what the movie got right or wrong, because it's tragic.
I don't know their family or story specifically, but I love documentaries about wrestling and stuff. Yeah. I was such a big fan of it when I was a kid. The idea of redneck ballet is just fascinating to me. And there's some really cool stories, and it's a little bit like reading about roadies or bands. It's a really weird lifestyle to go out and pretend to fight other grown men for a living, every day, and being on the road 300 days a week. But so this family that it's about was all of the brothers were in wrestling. It's super tragic. They were in it right before the WWF took over and really started hitting the marketing and making a global brand of it. So there
Boy.
wasn't money in it like there is now.
Oh
But
God.
Yeah, the story. So it's
I'm
Zach.
reading the Wikipedia page
Yeah,
for the Von Erich family.
it's Zac Efron from High
Oh.
School Musical, and then one of the other brothers is the kid who's the bear.
yeah,
Oh,
Flip.
no kidding.
So the acting is really good, but the story is just like every one of these kids, every one of these wrestler kids has something terrible happen, and it's all about their
Yeah.
daddy issues, trying to impress their dad.
And what's the name of the
They
movie?
were,
Iron Claw.
Iron Claw. Okay.
yeah, they were probably the most famous wrestlers before like the Iron Sheik Hulk Hogan era, like when Vince McMahon took over
Was
and
Rick
turned
was Ric
all these.
Flair part of the WWF? What was he before the WWF?
He was just super popular in all those regional
Gotcha.
shows.
Because he's in
Because
this too.
that's the way so there used to be like a big commission, kind of like the mafia,
Yeah.
where
yeah.
all these wrestling promoters would go and they split up territories, and it was just understood you worked your territory. A wrestler would come in and say, "Hey, I want to go in here and work for a while," and you would. And that's the way it all operated. And then Vince McMahon came in and bought up the wrestlers, bought up TV rights, and turned it into $1 billion before he self-destructed. And that came with a lot of other problems. But the Von Erichs were probably the most famous. Ric Flair too.
I mean, Ric Flair.
I always think of Andre the Giant as being like the big deal in that era.
Andre was another one in that era. That they existed while the territories still were around, before basically the WWE took over.
Because I remember the WWF and all that, like in the late '80s.
Yeah.
Like that was never my jam, but the neighbor kids, they were all about the wrestling. So whenever you'd go over to their house, we'd watch wrestling. They had videotapes.
Yeah, were you allowed in your very conservative hometown to enjoy things?
No, fun was actually legislated out.
Well, no, wrestling was fine because it was two dudes beating each other up. That's just what Jesus wanted.
Yeah.
Well, that wasn't allowed in my
work,
house.
Yeah.
Maybe we had different Jesuses.
Yeah.
Wrestling
My Jesus absolutely jumped from the top rope, Rob.
But would he do the iron claw even after the referees rang the bell?
No, that's unseemly.
Yeah, well, that's what happens in this movie.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's the saddest thing that I've seen in a while.
Is there a fight coming up between Jake Paul and Mike Tyson?
There is.
What?
Oh my God! No. They did their like weigh-in, and Jake Paul's doing like weird bowcaster motions.
Yeah.
And Mike Tyson just
dabbing.
It's on Netflix. That's who has it this time.
It's gonna be on Netflix.
Okay.
Yeah, it's live
okay?
streaming on Netflix.
I have a question, and this might sound dumb. Is it real? Like, is Mike Tyson just going to beat the shit out of this kid?
So
I mean, Mike Tyson's quite a bit older now, right?
Yeah,
and Jake Paul is built, man. I mean,
and Jake Paul has been fighting actual boxers. And
yeah, no,
fighting MMA people for a while now, and this is just the next thing. It's how a lot of these old boxers are starting to make money again. They can go and do a big pay-per-view thing, and this is just the latest. It will be interesting because Tyson's 55 or 56 now,
but he's still Mike Tyson.
He's still got muscle.
He's still Mike Tyson, but towards the end of his career, he really started slipping, and he wasn't the same after he got up as he was earlier.
I guess what I don't understand is
Tyson,
Well, it's one thing to be slipping against. So if you're a boxer in your mid 30s and you're boxing against, boxers who are 10 years younger than you, that's one thing. Yeah. But then there's another to be boxing against a kid who's internet famous for which one is this? Is he the one who went through the graveyard?
So let's be clear. He is internet famous at first for taking some, questionable boxing fights, but the kid can actually box.
Okay.
Yeah, he can. Absolutely. But like watching Mike train, it's just like I wouldn't want to be on the receiving end of training on this guy. I mean,
it's just going to come.
You guys have been punched in the face, right? Have you ever been punched in the face?
Yes.
Yeah.
You know that feeling you have after you're like, I'm so glad I'm not getting punched in the face anymore.
Yeah. It's a good feeling.
I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. You don't want to be punched in the face. Ever.
Yeah. It's going to come down to, I think, how much cardio Tyson has. Because they can both weather the storm for few minutes, 3 minutes. But
He's just.
I mean, that's a lot of cardio.
It's like watching Bruce Lee, you know. And then they're like, "Did they speed up the film?" No,
Nope.
no, they didn't. And it's like,
no, his power was always
he's
he's hard to
spectacular.
hit, and he's super fast.
Yeah.
He's strong too, but you talk to people who fought him, and they're like, "Oh, I've been hit by way stronger people."
I was never able
so
to.
fast. He is so fast and punches you at weird angles that.
Yeah.
I was never able to dodge him, but that's okay because I usually didn't get all the way to Mike Tyson. I usually got knocked out like by King Hippo.
You got to wait until he makes a noise, right? I can't remember.
Yeah. Mike Tyson's Punch Out.
One of my
neighbors. Of course, the other huge news and video was the return of Jenny Nicholson,
right?
And her 4-hour
4 hours, which when you shared that in channel, I watched 3 hours of it that night, and then the hour the next day.
The thing you got to realize, most YouTube videos are what, 17 to 20 minutes long. This is 4 hours long. She has 4 million views of a 4-hour long video.
It's a great video.
That's like 100 million views of like a Mr. Beast video.
Yeah.
You know, like it's incredible.
And she just eviscerates this thing.
Well, no, she doesn't eviscerate. It's surgical. This isn't Mike Tyson, you know,
she doesn't Mike Tyson
Rob. You know, this is it's just like she's trying to give them every chance.
For sure. No, she is being the best possible, the fairest possible documentarian, but also so entertaining. And just like it's little things like how when you go from the hotel to Disneyland, they put you in a truck. And
she's like, that's not unreasonable.
That's not and they're like, people were dunking on them because your $6,000 trip and they're putting you in the back of a truck. Yeah. And she's like, but what did you expect? You're pretending you're in a spaceship. It's not a limo.
Yeah.
And she's really straightforward about it. And very fair. But I mean, just like how the game is just basically scanning in QR codes and it didn't work for them. And she got
some cargo.
The running jokes about her getting stuck behind a pillar.
Yeah, that was so funny.
I remember that from she tweeted about that when it happened. And really? I remember that when she was so mad the night that it happened. I remember reading that on Twitter.
I gotta find that. It was so funny. And there it is. There's the pillar.
Yep. And right behind that pillar is the entertainment. You paid $6,000 to go on a pretend cruise and watch this singer during your dinner service, and so for an hour, that's your view.
Yeah, and what's great is then later in the video, she talks about the original planning for Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah.
And how this came right from the concept art of Galaxy's Edge. They didn't want to do it in Galaxy's Edge. They did it inside the Star Wars hotel.
It's really interesting. Like, she does the work, man. She
does her damn homework.
Yeah. And that's all. That's all of her videos. She's really excellent. And
there was like funny. One of the comments was like, it's a Jenny Nicholson video about something that she probably would have had shut down, like Evermore. Like, that place went out of business.
The Evermore, they just shut down too. There was just somebody on the internet's talking about it.
Anyways, wow.
Yeah,
it was just breathtakingly.
That's a great watch. Star Trek Discovery. There's one episode left. It's so bad.
Is it still going?
It's still going, and it's so bad.
Why?
I haven't even watched this season. I gave up.
I gave up after the maybe a little bit of the second.
So I don't think I told you this. During the first episode, they literally have a thing where they discover that they need to find 8 clues.
Oh no. They were on a fetch quest?
And so literally each episode is, let's go get the next clue. And they keep saying, like, they're saying it as part of the dialogue. We have to go here to find the next clue. And like, this is the kind of hack bullshit that you do the first time you're doing a Dungeons and Dragons campaigin. It's like, okay, guys.
All set in the mirror universe? So they go mirror universe again?
They did go to the mirror universe. But it's just to telegraph.
It's like the new Borg. It's their crutch. It's their Dalek. You know, it's like, oh, we're just gonna go to the mirror universe every other day. You know, it's like, and it was cool the first season, but like,
well, ultimately, I guess the problem here is that like, if you are telling an interesting story, you don't tell me in chapter 1 that there are 7 chapters. You know what I mean? Like that, because that like it's the same problem, and this has my other beef. It's the same problem with a TV show like 20 years ago with the commercial breaks, like how okay, now here's the third commercial break, and you know what's got to happen, and you've got to like build up to an artificial climax, and you know like they have to have the big reveal during the third segment, like all.
Are they
like,
still in the far future?
Yeah, they're still in 3200s or whatever. But
Where
like
they can't screw up the canon or whatever.
they can't mess up the canon, yeah. So it's so bluntly telegraphed what's going to happen. Like it just makes me sad because some of the episodes have been okay, but it's just really hard when it's like, okay, episode 4, let's go get the 4th clue, and they're talking about it like it's so like what? Oh, it just made me angry.
Yeah.
Like it's sloppy writing. Like you want that stuff to be built in or revealed at the end. But like to do that right in the very first episode of the season to like just
I'm
tell
sorry, you have high expectations for Discovery at this point? I mean,
yeah, that's fair.
fool me once, season 1, shame on you. Right? Fool me twice, season 2, shame on me. That's what I noped out.
If it was something good like Picard or something,
I mean, it was a big lift to go back to Picard, even for the admittedly terrific season 3.
I like season 3.
I never watched season 2. I skipped it.
Good.
I'm like, it's garbage.
You're right.
You're right.
You're right to skip season 2, but season 3 is fun.
Yeah.
Season 3 was all right. Like, it would take a lot for me to, fool me, 3 more seasons, 3, 4, and 5. It's shame on Rob. Right.
That's fair.
I mean, that's how that wraps up.
Well, there have been 10 episodes of live action Star Trek in this era, 10 seasons, and 3 of those seasons have been watchable.
Yeah.
I think that's my estimate. Although I like Lower Decks fine, but I can understand Lower Decks is just fluff. It took me a season to get through what Lower Decks is and be okay with it.
Yeah, I mean, I watched Corsair replied to me.
All right.
To me, Lower Decks would be better if the rest of it was better.
Yeah. But Lower Decks is also playing entirely off the Next Generation, so I'm fine with that.
Sure.
Is there any other media? Let's see. Furiosa comes out this weekend. I think Civil War comes out digitally this week.
Did we talk about the Netflix reboot of Good Times before?
What? I didn't know that existed.
Dude, it is so bad. And the bitch of it is Norman Lear was part of it.
Oh no.
With Seth MacFarlane.
Oh.
Watch the first episode if you can get through it, and like it is. It hurts my heart that Norman did it before he died. That's how bad it is.
What?
It's an animated show now.
Good Times reboot?
And dude, just read the reviews. They're correct. It's terrible.
Oh God.
Absolutely terrible. There we go.
Stain. Wow.
Yeah. It is so bad that Sarah was like, do you think people read the whole script before they got this? Or they just put them in a room and they're like, yeah, Good Times, I'll do it. And you're like, oh, this is awful.
Oh no.
Wow. We may well know now have the official cause of death for Norman Lear.
Seriously, it isn't that bad.
Oh man.
It killed him. I mean, I love the Boondocks. That was great, but he bailed though.
Jesus.
Good Lord.
Yeah, it's I haven't watched any more than one episode. That's all I could do. The baby in it, because it's a Seth MacFarlane piece.
Yeah, you got to put in a baby.
Got to have a talking baby and an alien. Yeah.
Yep. So it's a talking baby who's a drug dealer. He's the kingpin of all the other baby drug dealers in the area.
Oh, that was the other thing I wanted to mention. Have either of you tried the new season of Doctor Who?
No,
I burned out after Claire was introduced. I couldn't stand her, so
sure.
I'm like, I'm out.
Well, so there was the Christmas special and 2 episodes. I'm 2 episodes in with the newest Doctor, and I love the newest Doctor. I think he's great. And the Christmas episode
Cutie?
Yeah, the Christmas episode was great, and the season premiere was great, and then the episode that I watched last night was rough. So
Really?
like, yeah, like they end with a musical number, and like it makes sense in the context of the episode. The maestro is stealing music. You know, it's a weird Doctor Who premise, right? But they ended with like the lamest song, and they all do a dance, and it's so dumb and lame. And then you're like, okay, finally it's done. And then they do another dance across the walkway in front of Abbey Road where they did the picture with the Beatles on the album cover. Like, it's like that, like they had 25 minutes of material and they stretched it out to like a 50-minute episode. And I wanted to die for the last 10 minutes. Like the performances are all really fun, but the episode was, ugh. I'm actually a little concerned now because the first 2 episodes I really, really liked, and then this was a clunker, and I'm a little bit afraid that that's what the rest of the season is in store for me.
I mean, I've been meaning to watch Godzilla X Kong now for like over a week, but this weekend I think I'm finally
It's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Oh, you're gonna like it, or you're gonna hate
I hope
it.
so.
You saw -1 already, right? We talked about that.
No, I only got like halfway through -1, fell asleep, and I haven't finished it yet. But it was really good so far.
Yeah, -1's really good. I've been really meaning to watch it again, but like that's one that I think Kat would enjoy. So I was waiting to try to watch it with her. But like, it's hard to coordinate TV time with your spouse.
Sure. I mean, I'm fine with -1 having as much story as it does because it's good.
Yeah.
But I don't want them to give me any story in Godzilla X Kong.
Don't worry.
So
don't worry.
Great.
Mostly,
I you know, I watched all of Monarch and I thought it was okay, but I don't give a shit about any of those people.
Did it well, I mean, you know, these movies are not about the people.
No.
You know,
right,
did they
exactly.
have to return to the Witchblade hypothesis?
Yeah.
Did they show you the damn Kong or the damn Godzilla?
And in Godzilla
every
Kong,
episode?
Yeah, and in Godzilla times Kong, they show it all the time.
Okay. So there you go. That's the requirement.
It's
right?
basically,
otherwise you're Witchblading it and they're just gonna get canceled.
It's basically 5 minutes of exposition, 5 minutes of smashing, 5 minutes of exposition, 5 minutes of smashing.
Yeah.
If they could lower the exposition, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Well, sometimes they do the exposition.
Keep on bringing back Paperboy from Atlanta and
he's
Bobby
back.
Brown, and it's like, why?
Yeah.
We don't care.
No,
we don't care about any of them.
You should shoot
Godzilla.
They should do the entire
Kong.
thing as
Boom,
a documentary with newscasters just reporting on the events as they're occurring. That would be fun.
Yeah, I mean, like that scene in Pacific Rim where the guy picks up an oil tanker. Yeah, it would have fallen apart. Who cares? It was so cool to watch a big robot pick up an oil tanker and hit something with it. Yeah. Obviously. You know?
Gentlemen, we've done it.
Yeah.
Goodbye, Rob Roseboom.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, Chris DeBona.
See ya.
That was episode 841 of Geeks in Space. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Okay. You might be okay.